Fifth Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. I now call upon Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Manilao to lead the prayer, followed by the singing of our national anthem by Floor Leader Paz of Jigo, the singing of the Guam Hymn in Chamorro by Vice Speaker Atoygui of Tamuning Tumon Harmon, and Assistant Floor Leader Guerrero of Dededo to lead the Inifresi. Colleagues, please rise.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, thankful for the opportunity to gather and serve our island community. Grant us wisdom as we discuss and make decisions, clarity as we listen, and humility as we work together for the good of our youth and our future. Guide our words and actions so that they reflect respect, cooperation, and compassion. Help us to remember the responsibility we carry and the trust placed in us by the people we represent. Bless this session, bless each member here, and bless the island of Guam. May everything we do honor you and uplift our community. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Fanhogi Chamorro Purita Nota Kanta Matuno Nagi Toru Ilugad Padari Honra Padari Gloria Abiba es la sen para Padari honra Padari gloria Abiba es la sen para Utoru I tempu I paz para hita zangin nilangin na bendition. Contra piligru na fan sofuham zuus protege slangwan. Contra piligru na fan sofuham zuus protege slangwan.
Ini frasi, ginini mas takilu gi hinasoku, I mas takulum gi coraçonhu, zani mas figo naninya sinyahu. Rua fretse mais sadu para bai protege, zanhu defendi, I hinengi, I cultura, I linguaje, I airi, I hanum zanitanu chamoru. Ni inishaku deretu gininazus tata, esti wa fitma, gihilui biblia, zani banderahu ni banderan guahan.
Colleagues, please be seated. I now call upon our Acting Clerk of the Youth Congress, James Urahior, and Sergeant at Arms to conduct the first roll call.
Vice Speaker Otoigwe of Tumuning Tumon and Harmon. Vice Speaker Otoigwe from Tumuning Tumon and Harmon present. Representative Babastro from Haga. Representative Babastro of Haga present. Representative Kanlumlim from Okudu High School. Representative Kanlumlim from Okudu High School present. Representative Cha of Mongmong Totomaiti. Representative Cha from Mongmong Totomaiti present. Representative Char Feroz of Mangilao. Representative Char Feroz of Mangilao present. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School absent. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam absent. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame present. Speaker Fortuno of Dedido.
Present.
Speaker Fortuno of Dedido present. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero of Dedido present. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School present. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy present. Representative Kodia Ampalakal. Representative Kodia Ampalakal absent. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam. Representative Leon Guerrero of our Academy of Lady of Guam absent. Representative Liu of Dedido. Representative Liu of Dedido absent. Representative Masaga of Teason High School. Representative Maska of Teason High School absent. Representative Ng of Zotnya. Representative Ng of Zotnya absent. Representative O of Meleso. Representative O of Meleso present. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao present. Representative Paz of Gigo. Representative Paz of Gigo present. Representative Poboletti of Pago Ordet. Representative Poboletti of Pago Ordet absent. Representative Santos of Tumuning Tumon and Harmon. Representative Santos of Tumuning Tumon and Harmon absent. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos of the University of Guam present. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam present. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College present. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang of Mangilao is present. Mr. Speaker, you have the quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Clerk. Let the record show that Representative Kodari Yamplakal of Tumuning Tumon Harmon is present. I'll go ahead and now recognize Floor Leader Pazajigo on his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to excuse members not present and voting for this session.
There has been a motion by Floor Leader Paz of Gigo to excuse members not present and voting for this session. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing no objections, the motion is carried. Floor Leader Paz of Gigo, you are recognized.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to approve the Legislative Journal of the Youth Congress dated September 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. The Legislative Journal of the Youth Congress dated September 20th, 2025 is hereby approved. We are now on agenda item number 8, communications and petitions. Floor Leader Pazajigo, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, there are communications and petitions submitted to the 35th Guam Youth Congress, and at this time I move that they be appended to today's Legislative Journal.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On the motion to append all communications and petitions submitted to the 35th Guam Youth Congress Legislative Journal dated November 15, 2025, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. We are now on agenda item number 9, messages from Imagahagan Guahan and Elias Laturan Guahan. Floor Leader Paz of Jigo, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, at this time, there are no messages from Imagahagan Guahan, the Governor of Guam, and E-Legislature in Guahan, the Guam Legislature. At this time, I move to waive this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On the motion to waive agenda item number 9, messages from Imagahagan Guahan, the Governor of Guam, and Elias Laturan Guahan, the Guam Legislature, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Colleagues, we are now on agenda item number 10, reports of standing committees. Floor Leader Paz of Jigo, you are recognized at this time.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. I move to accept and append to today's legislative journal all reports of standing committees submitted as of November 15th, 2025, and to waive agenda number 11, reports of select committees, as there are no reports submitted at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On the motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Colleagues, we are now on agenda item number 12, the introduction and first reading of bills and resolutions. Floor Leader Paz of Jigo, you're recognized.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that bills number 4-35 COR through 13-35 COR and resolutions number 4-35 COR to 9-35 COR be deemed to have their first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. The aforementioned bills and resolutions shall be deemed to have been introduced and first read by this body. With no other business under agenda item number 12, we are now on agenda item number 13, the consideration of motions. Do any representatives wish to make a motion? Assistant Floor Leader Guerrero of Deredo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, I move to place to the bottom of the second reading file Bill number 12-35 COR as amended by the Committee on Law Enforcement, Emergency Management, Municipalities, and Federal, Military, and Regional Affairs at the request of the Prime Sponsor, Representative Pobletti of Chalon-Pago Ordot.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Bill number 12-35 as amended is placed to the bottom of the second reading file upon the request of the Prime Sponsor, Representative Pobletti of Chalon-Pago Ordot. We are still on agenda item number 13, the consideration of motions. Are there any other representatives wishing to make a motion? Representative Charfers of Manila, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to strike Representative Caden Pobletti as co-sponsor of Resolutions 6-35 and 7-35. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Let the record show that Representative Pobletti of Chalon-Pago Ordot and his co-sponsorships of Resolutions 6 and 7 is struck from the record. We are still on agenda item number 13, the consideration of motions. Are there any representatives wishing to make a motion? Hearing or seeing none, we will now move on to agenda item number 14, the consent calendar. Floor Leader Paz of Jigo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are no pending business items under agenda item number 14, the consent calendar. At this time, I move that we waive this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Agenda item number 14, the consent calendar is waived. We are now on agenda item number 15, colleagues, the second reading file. We'll go ahead and now recognize Representative Charfers of Manila on his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to place into the third reading file Resolution 6-35, introduced by myself and Speaker Austin Fortuno relative to expressing the strong opposition of Imina 35 na Congressional Manhoban Guahan, the 35th Guam Youth Congress, to Bill to Bill number 7-38 COR relative to requiring the Chamorro Land Trust Commission to solicit competitive bids for the mass grading and extraction of a portion of Lot 5412 in the municipality of Mangilao and urging Imina 38 na legislator ng Guam, the 38th Guam Legislature to uphold the veto of Iacto Magalang Guam, the acting governor of Guam on October 17, 2025, and to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Thank you, Representative. Please proceed.
Buenos colleagues. Oh shoot, I'm speaking a little too loud. Okay, buenos colleagues. Today I rise to present my resolution 6-35. Again, which is to requiring the Chamorro Land, which is requiring to Bill number 7-38 relative to requiring the Chamorro Land Trust Commission to solicit competitive bids for the mass grading and extraction of a portion. This resolution is in opposition. Let me just give a quick background of my understanding of this bill. What I understood from this bill is that it does not really protect the residents of this area, and it poses serious ecological and environmental concerns. When I was going around actually collecting testimonies and actually understanding everything about this bill, it didn't seem like the people of Guam or the people of that area specifically were actually put into consideration when the voting came. If you read through my resolution, this poses a lot of serious environmental damage. For one, it exposes our coastline to coastal erosion at an expedited pace, and it also imposes serious environmental damage to the Northern Guam Lands aquifer that is under the area. Besides the environmental concerns, we also have to consider the human impact. With all the construction and all the with all the mass grading of this, we are exposing the people of this area to industrial contaminants, which can lead to long-term health implications. So, briefly, this bill that was passed by the legislature, it doesn't seem like it really put the people of Guam and the people of that area really in the center and really at the center of their concerns. It really didn't. This seemed like it wasn't in the best interest, essentially, and that's why I rise to present this resolution, because of its serious concerns for the people of Guam. So I please ask everyone to support this resolution when it comes to voting. I'm not asking for co-sponsorships or anything, just asking for your support in the voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers, on your main motion. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on resolution number 6-35 COR? I'll go ahead and recognize Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of Resolution 6-35. This is a great bill, a resolution made by Representative Charfers. Environment is very important to Guam, and these extractions seek to hurt our environment. And I support this measure. This resolution came out of my committee, the Committee of Chamorro Language, Culture, and Decolonization. And I just rise in support of this measure because we need to do more for protecting the future of Guam. It's our island. And so I just would like to encourage all the other members to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the resolution? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Charfers, you're free to close on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Kalimlim, for the support. Mr. Speaker, I move to place resolution number 6-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Representative Charfers of Mangilao. On the motion to place resolution number 6-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. I'll go ahead and recognize Representative Charfers of Manila again on his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to place into the third reading file Resolution number 7-35 COR, introduced by myself and Speaker Austin Fortuno, relative to expressing strong opposition of Imina 35 na Kongreso ng Manhoban Guahan, the 35th Guam Youth Congress, to Public Law 38-61, also known as Bill number 135-38 COR, relative to amending the Chamorro Land Trust lease agreement with the Guam International Country Club, Incorporated, and urging Imina 38 na Legislatura ng Guahan, the 38th Guam Legislature, to repeal the public law and request to be given the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Please proceed, Representative Charfers.
Buenos colleagues again. This resolution also has the same impacts that the Resolution 6-35 has mentioned. It poses serious environmental harm and it poses serious harm to our actual constituents. As many of you guys know, the area in which they are trying to place the solar farm is directly above the Northern Guam Lens Aquifer, the single primary source of fresh water for the island. With all of this possible construction, we're not sure how bad that it would actually affect Guam's aquifer and actually all of our constituents' access to fresh water. As we saw in Jigo with the whole Dildren thing, it did impose serious community harm, and the people of Jigo, the residents of Jigo and parts of Dedito, they had to go out to buy their own water and all this other stuff. I would like to bring up two things from the committee report. This is from Mika Paulino. She said during the installation of solar panels, heavy machinery is often used, which can compact the soil. Soil compaction can reduce its ability to absorb water, limit root growth, and negatively impact the soil microbial community, all of which can affect the soil health and productivity. And instead, she asked that the Guam legislature and the CLTC support projects that protect and promote food security and our water, soil, and its residents. I would also like to bring up another testimony that is in opposition to this, where it says property owners in Dedito surrounding the golf course were never made aware that statistically their homes and land lose value once a commercial solar farm is built near them. Again, this is simply not the Chamorro way to harm others for benefit of a few. This is, again, I'm reading from the testimony. There are multiple reports of severe damage to commercial solar farms in hurricane/typhoon conditions. And in an area that is prone to all these, whose conscience is it going to be when one or more of these panels crashes through a sliding glass door of a nearby home and invades the personal privacy and security of these residents? I would also like to bring up that, last but not least, the Guam Economic Development Authority and Guam Visitors Bureau and the Dedito Mayor's Council and the Attorney General of Guam have stated that they do not support this bill. I understand that we all 2 months ago, we made a resolution to recognize the mayors for their work. I ask that we recognize the mayors again today when we vote for this bill and show that we're listening to them and their residents, and especially the residents of Dedito, one of the most populated villages on the island. Again, this has the same environmental impacts and the same impacts that it has to the community as Resolution 6-35 mentions. Colleagues, I please ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers of Manila, on his main motion. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on Resolution number 7-35 CUR? I'll go ahead and recognize Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise in support of Resolution 7-35 from Representative Charfers and share the similar concerns and sentiments over Public Law 38-61 or Bill number 135-38. We've seen how solar farms like this have affected our island with the marble cave contaminations with the solar farms in Mangilao, as well as the Dildren contaminants that went over to some areas in Digo's northern aquifer, and it's very important for our island to think about our northern aquifer, our only source of water for the island. And so I strongly encourage my colleagues and fellow representatives to support this resolution, and vote yes on its passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Kalimlum of Ukuru. I'll go ahead and recognize Representative O of Malesu.
I have a point of inquiry for the main primary sponsor of the bill. And the question is, has there been any subsidies that the government has provided for the impact of the construction?
All right. Representative Charfers of Manila, do you yield to the question? All right. Let the record show that he yields.
To my knowledge, Representative O, I have not been made aware of any subsidies that have been given to the solar farm developers or the Guam International Golf Course Country Club. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Sorry, I have one more thing. It was about to clarify, the question was about the businesses that are around the golf course, not necessarily the golf course itself.
Do you yield, Representative Charfers?
To that question, I have the same response. I have not been made aware of any of subsidies that have been made to the surrounding businesses. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers. Representative, you still have the floor. All right. Thank you, Representative O of Malesu. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the resolution? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Charfers of Manila, you are free to close on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Kalimlum, for the support, and thank you, Representative O, for the questions. Mr. Speaker, I move to place resolution number 7-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Representative Charfers of Manila. On a motion to place resolution number 7-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Here, seeing no objections, the motion is carried. Colleagues, will take a moment's recess. The 35th Guam Youth Congress is hereby called back to order. Thank you, colleagues. At this time, we are still on the second reading file, and I'll go ahead and recognize Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam on his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of my esteemed colleague of the University of Guam, Representative Grace Ann de la Cruz, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 11-35 COR, introduced by Grace Ann de la Cruz, Brian Andrew Teodosio, Nathan I. Paz, Nicole Therese Guerrero, Austin G. Fortuno, and Devin C. Santos. An act to amend Section 6105B3A of Chapter 1, Article 1, Chapter 6, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to including the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority as a service agency under the provision of free bus passes to those who lack access to reliable transportation through the Guam Regional Transit Authority, and request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed, Representative Teodosio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present Bill 11-35, a measure which aims to include the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority as one of the service agencies authorized to provide free bus passes to the Guam Regional Transit Authority for individuals who lack reliable transportation. I am honored to present this bill on behalf of my colleague from the University of Guam, Representative de la Cruz, who is fittingly at the Guam Memorial Hospital completing her nursing clinicals today. Mr. Speaker, the legislative intent of this measure builds on the foundation established by Public Law 37-133, which recognizes that transportation can be a significant barrier to accessing essential services. Under this current law, free bus passes are already provided by agencies such as GDOE, CPS, DPHS, GURA, the Judiciary of Guam, and the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. Yet, despite being our island's only public hospital, the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority is not included there. This leaves patients who lack reliable transportation without access to essential follow-up care, including labs, imaging, wound care, rehabilitation, and pre- or post-operative consultation. I remember sitting with Representative de la Cruz when she was writing this legislation, and she spoke passionately about her personal experience as a nursing student, where she witnessed firsthand the number of patients who delay or skip care, not because they don't value their health, but because they have no means to get there. Adding the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority to the list of eligible agencies ensures that the intent of the original law, which is to support those who lack reliable transportation, fully extends to the healthcare sector of our island. It is a simple amendment, but one that carries significant impact. It allows our government through GRTA to support patients who need access to medical care but have no feasible way of getting to the hospital on their own. So on behalf of Representative de la Cruz, I respectfully request the support of this body. This measure is really about fairness, accessibility, and ensuring that every person on Guam can reach the care that they need without transportation being the obstacle that stands in their way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. On your main motion, are there any other representatives wishing to speak on Bill number 11-35 COR? Vice Speaker Atoigi of Tumuning Tumon Harmon, you're recognized.
Cesar's Mossy, Mr. Speaker. I would like to stand in support of this bill because it gives those individuals who aren't able to drive and those individuals who have a hard time finding parking, especially at the Guam Memorial Hospital. And this was brought up during the committee hearing. And so this bill should pass our legislative body, and I urge my colleagues here today to vote yes for this bill. And I'd like to also make a motion, Mr. Speaker, to be a co-sponsor of this bill. Cesar's Mossy.
Thank you, Vice Speaker Atoigi of Tumuning Tumon Harmon. On the motion to include co-sponsor to the resolution, are there any objection? Here is seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the bill number 11-35 COR? Sorry. Madam Assistant Floor Leader Guerrero of Deredo, you're recognized at this time.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong support of Bill 11-35 COR, and I commend the author for introducing this legislation. Although a small change in the existing law, this holds value for many of our population that relies on GRTA and relies on public transportation. As we all know, public transportation here on our island is not as robust as many of us would like for it to be, but this is a step in the right direction to ensure that people that need and rely on public transportation the most to go to these critical appointments are getting the assistance that they need and getting as much assistance as they need to get to these appointments. To hear that people are skipping on their appointments, on their much needed treatments just because of transportation issues, this is something that needs to be solved. Transportation issue is a huge problem on our island. And when we're talking about who primarily uses public transportations and our buses here on our islands, we're talking about populations like our Manamku, our disabled. These are individuals that need to get to the places that they need to go. This isn't simply luxury, this is a need. And for the author of the bill to introduce the Guam Memorial Hospital as to be able to receive bus passes, to be able to give up to members of our community, this is a huge deal. People in our community will use these to their advantage. And again, I stress, this is not a matter of luxury. It is a matter of need. And it ensures that our most vulnerable population, but even our general population, is able to get the health care that they require without having transportation be an issue. Of all the issues that there can be to receive proper health care, transportation should not be one of them. And again, I rise in strong support of this bill, and I commend the author, and I urge my fellow colleagues to also support this measure. Situs Masi, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader Guerrero of Deredo. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the bill? Representative Yang of Manila, you are recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support for Bill number 11-35 COR, and I would also like to commend the author for proposing this bill. Like the other representatives has stated, the providing free bus passes for those that lack a reliable means to receive their healthcare services is very important. About 1 month ago, as I was getting a drink with my friend, I met an individual who was very distressed about not being able to drive to the hospital or to like food distribution centers to receive their healthcare services. And so as I talked with her more, I felt her hopelessness in finding a driver or car to transport her and her worry about providing a future for her children. And I believe that there are many other people on this island who really need this transportation access, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yang of Manila. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on Bill number 11-35 COR? Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a point of inquiry for the author. Will the dialysis centers be included with the transport? Because with personal experience, my dad, he's missed many appointments because he doesn't have transportation to the dialysis center. And it's dialysis happens 3 times a week, and it's critical for these people, and I'm just curious as to if they're included as well.
Thank you, Representative Fernandez. Representative Teodosio, do you yield to the question? Yes. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would not know of that information. I'm sure Representative Dela Cruz can shed more light on that information, but yes, I'm not as knowledgeable about that information as Representative Dela Cruz, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Teodosio. Representative Fernandez, you still have the floor. All right, thank you, Representative Fernandez. Are there any other representatives wishing to, Mr. Floor Leader, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I rise in support of Bill 11-35, and I echo all of the same sentiments as my fellow colleagues. As we know, healthcare is more than just the interaction between the patient and healthcare provider. Part of health, and especially modern health, in this new era is a term called the social determinants of health, and transportation access to getting to these appointments are an increasing challenge that we see here on this island. And I do stress and encourage the importance of this bill to my fellow colleagues and ask them to vote yes on its passage. And might I also add regarding, may I also speak on Representative Fernandez's inquiry? So as discussed during our committee hearing, I am the chairperson that this bill was heard in the committee. So the intention of the bill was to provide or include the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority under the transit access of the GRTA, the Guam Regional Transit Authority. To my knowledge, dialysis centers are more of a private business and separate outside of the jurisdiction of local government. So to my knowledge, as the bill is written at this time, the dialysis centers would unfortunately not be included if this bill were to be passed today. But I hope to work with Representative Fernandez and my fellow colleagues to address this issue at a later time.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the bill? On the bill. All right. Hearing or seeing none, Representative Teodosio, you are free to close.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the support of my colleagues on this measure, and I'm sure Representative Dela Cruz appreciates it as well. Mr. Speaker, I move to place Bill number 11-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Representative Teodosio. On the motion to place Bill number 11-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Colleagues, will take a moment's recess.
The 35th Guam Youth Congress is called back to order. Speaker Fortuno Dedo, you are recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 2-35 COR, introduced by Austin G. Fortuno and Nathan I. Paz, which is an act to add a new section 61.75 to Chapter 61, Title 9, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing penalties and intervention measures for juveniles convicted of offenses related to riots, disorderly conduct, and school-related violence, to be known as the Juvenile Accountability and Parental Responsibility Act of 2025, and request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to introduce this bill known as the Juvenile Accountability and Parental Responsibility Act of 2025, introduced by yours truly and my colleague here, Nathan I. Paz. This legislation responds to the increasing number of school-related fights, public disturbances, and youth-driven violence that continue to threaten the safety of our students, educators, and our broader island community. Mr. Speaker, the guiding principle of this bill is one that our island has always understood. Bad acts equal bad consequences. When minors choose to endanger others, damage public spaces, or disrupt our learning environments, there must be a firm and meaningful accountability, not to condemn our youth, but to intervene early and prevent repeated or escalating behavior. Mr. Speaker, I also want to emphasize that this bill does not create something entirely new or untested. It follows the established model in Guam law regarding juvenile accountability under Title IX GCA Sections 34.50, criminal mischief defined, Sections 34.60, criminal mischief punished, and Section 34.70, graffiti prohibited. Under these existing statutes, Mr. Speaker, juveniles who commit vandalism or graffiti already face fines, restitution, parental responsibility, and mandatory community service. Courts may hold parents jointly liable and may require minors to restore or repair the damage caused. That system is already in place, Mr. Speaker. Bill number 2-35 COR simply expands this existing model to address more serious offenses, such as rioting, harassment, disorderly conduct, and school-related violence, which is under Title IX, Chapter 61. If the law already recognizes a minor who damages property must face consequences and make amends, then it is consistent and necessary that minors who engage in violent or disruptive conduct should be held accountable in the same structured rehabilitative manner. Mr. Speaker, during the committee hearing on this legislation, some have raised concerns about the impact of fines on low-income families. It is important that we clarify how this bill functions. Yes, the fine is required, just as it is under the existing graffiti statute. But the structure of the bill uses a not-to-exceed framework under Section 2, the enacting clause. While the court must impose a fine, the judge has judicial discretion in determining the amount, allowing penalties to be scaled according to the circumstances of the offense and the family's financial situation. This ensures accountability, Mr. Speaker, while maintaining fairness. A family struggling financially will not be treated the same way as a family with greater means. Judges may assign a lower fine within the allowable range in the proposed legislation and pair it with expanded community service or restorative measures to ensure that the minor remains accountable without creating undue hardship. In other words, Mr. Speaker, the fine is mandatory, but the amount is responsibly calibrated to real-life conditions. The bill strengthens accountability, but does not eliminate judicial discretion or compassion. Now, Mr. Speaker, central to the approach of this proposed legislation is the role of parents. No law can replace the responsibility that begins at home. Has anyone seen the AG's office billboard? This bill reinforces what our community has long believed, that families must be active partners in enforcing our standards, in ensuring the enforcement of the law, in guiding our children, and ensuring that discipline, respect, and responsibility are upheld. Mr. Speaker, our community cannot remain safe when accountability is weak. Families cannot thrive when responsibility is optional. And our schools cannot function when violence and disorder overshadow learning. This bill affirms the values that have kept our island strong: respect for others, consequences for wrongdoing, and the essential partnership between the home and the law. And I want to close by saying this, Mr. Speaker. The Guam Youth Congress is stepping forward to lead. We're demonstrating that young leaders are ready to take on serious issues with firmness, with clarity, and conviction. We are choosing responsibility over avoidance and action over complacency. We are helping set a higher standard for our peers and for future generations. And for these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I respectfully submit Bill number 2-35 CUR for the body's consideration and ask my colleagues for their support. Stu Masi.
Jesus Masi, Speaker for Tuno. Are there any representatives wishing to speak on Bill 2-35 COR? Representative O, you are recognized.
I would like to rise in support of Bill 2-35 COR. I've seen how school violence, disorderly conduct, and property damage affect the learning environment, and this bill creates a clear consequences for actions such as rioting, harassment, and the destruction of property. And this helps establish safer, more structured school campuses, and the inclusion of these consequences hold these juveniles to understand the impact of their actions while giving them a structured way to take responsibility for the harm they cause. I also support this bill because it strengthens the parental involvement and promotes rehabilitation rather than relying only on punishment. And I think that's really smart on the bill's part of it. By holding these parents accountable for supervision and participation in classes with the payments of fine or restitutions, this bill encourages families to play an active role in their children's lives and to prevent repeated misconduct. They require public awareness campaigns and support programs, ensuring the community understands expectation and resources. And I also urge my colleagues to support this bill as it balances accountability with support and improves a lot of the campus safeties. Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to be a co-sponsor of Bill 2-35 COR.
There has been a motion to add Representative O as a co-sponsor of Bill 2-35 COR. Are there any objections? Hearing seeing none, the motion carries. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak upon bill? Representative Babastro, you are recognized.
Hello and half a day, members of the 35th Guam Youth Congress. I speak on behalf of the Bill 2-35, and what I really stood out to that bill is the violence. And number one thing about the high school violence is fights, riots, and vaping and skipping classes. And I hope they pay the price when they see this. And I mean it. And we've been seeing this violence all the time. Even in my school, I've been seeing it many times. And even in the first week of school. And the thing is, why are there fights? Why are there any violence happening in schools in the first week of school? Why is it happening? That's the thing about it. And yes, I am in support of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker.
Jesus Masi, Representative Babastro. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak? Legislative Secretary Pangilinan, you are recognized.
I have a point of inquiry for the author of this bill. How will those school violences be recorded? As in, from my knowledge, there's a lot of school violence being gone unrecorded. And will it be that the victim speaks out for him or herself? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, do you accept the point of inquiry?
Yes, I yield. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the question from Secretary Pangilinan, it's a valid point, right? Looking at the implementation of the measure, just for the awareness of the body, right? The bill is an amendment to the Criminal Code, Title IX. And so in terms of the mechanism as to when this gets triggered on instances of reported school violence. And in instances where reported school violence is elevated, results in an arrest by the Guam Police Department, and results in a possible prosecution by the Family Division in the Office of the Attorney General. And so it is in those instances, in reported school violence, in which the enactment or the effects of this bill takes place. In terms of data gathering, right, we could all very likely attest, we've been students at one point. The Guam Department of Education has very good record keeping data in terms of the instances of school violence within the schools. The family division within the Office of the Attorney General also holds records in terms of the ones that result in prosecution. But again, just going back, it will be the amendments onto the legislation in the criminal code, in effect, is only triggered in instances of reported school violence. I hope that answers your question, Secretary Pangilinan.
Thank you, Speaker.
Are there any other representatives wishing to speak? Representative Imbat, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a point of inquiry in regards to this bill. Although I do acknowledge that school violence is important to handle and regulate and have students and parents to acknowledge their consequences to their actions, I do have a point of inquiry in regards to why are we charging for the first offense in terms of the first offense of what happened. So basically, I'm asking that usually when riots or school offenses does happen, it usually only happens one time, and it could be an honest mistake. And if we want to focus on the rehabilitation of the student themselves, I believe that the charging of the first offense has hindered that possibility, as that also requires more resources and time for the parent to put them to those rehabilitation purposes, as well as paying that fine. So I am asking in regards to why does the first offense have to be requiring a fine?
Mr. Speaker, do you yield to the point of inquiry?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Representative Imbat on very, very faithful inquiry. Being a student herself, attending a public school. I'm a proud Bulldog as well. Anyways, those are some valid points, right? Why is a fine being imposed on the first offense? And I spoke to great length during my introduction on how this bill really mirrors legislation in terms of offenses that include criminal mischief and graffiti, which already impose fines at the first offense. But there's, I guess, information that does need to be relayed to the body in terms of really the use of the word discretion, right? I emphasize judicial discretion in terms of the imposition of the fine. I should have also highlighted a very important fact, right? There is also discretion at the schools that are already in place. I could definitely attest that schools do not report for arrest and prosecution every fight that happens on the school campus. Because as Representative Imbat highlighted, right, it's a first offense. People make mistakes, and compassion can be triggered. And in practice, schools do not report for arrest and prosecution instances of fights, riots at the first instance. Only in situations, of course, right, in which extensive damage occurs, extensive violence occurs. We have a crime victim who ends up in a hospital because of the injuries. In those instances, the schools will practice their discretion to report the instance for arrest and prosecution. And so I guess that leads to, I hope that addresses the question, right? That although there is a miscommunication as to what is the definition of a first offense, in terms of the procedures and knowing how the practice works, not every fight that occurs on every school campus gets reported for arrest and prosecution. Most of it is addressed at the school level. The counselors conduct their counseling sessions, the principals make communications with the parents, etc. The bill targets instances in which arrest and prosecution is warranted, and those instances can definitely be defined. The principal would know when an incident requires arrest and prosecution. The teachers would know when it requires arrest and prosecution. And so the discretion remains, and I hope that that addresses the inquiry by Representative Imbat. And just to add as well, right, Representative Imbat mentioned the idea of rehabilitative measures, which can occur at the stage of school discretion. And in many ways, the schools already do employ that. But we're seeing that the system isn't working. We're seeing it. We're seeing the videos that are being posted, being shared on WhatsApp, on Facebook, where somebody ends up bloodied under a school cafeteria. And right now, the code doesn't allow for that. And so we're just bridging the holes that we see in the criminal code. We're creating the mirror legislation that we already see for students who tag walls on their school campus, and we're applying it on offenses that involve rioting, criminal mischief, all the things that is present in the legislation. And so I hope that addresses Representative Imbat's inquiry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for that, for answering my question. And just to clarify what you have answered, this is just for reported first offenses, is that correct?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, do you yield to your question?
Yes, I do yield. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, reported school violence that is reported by the school for arrest by the Guam Police Department and prosecution by the Family Division at the Attorney General's office.
Thank you for answering my question. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Jesus Masi, Representative Imbat. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak? Okay. Mr. Speaker, you're free to close on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the meaningful discussion that has taken place here on the floor. You know, legislation like this is not easy, and that is why, again, I attested in my opening statement that in introducing legislation like this, the Youth Congress is leading by example. We're not just being bystanders. We're not just people watching those trending videos of fights going on. We're not just the people standing in the hallway as you see the disorder and the violence that is occurring within our school campuses. We're taking action. We're proposing solutions. I feel that this is the solution that could help tackle that by emphasizing to the students that bad acts equal bad consequences. That is the proposition that I'm making with this legislation, and I hope that I could gain the support of my colleagues in passing this legislation, in bringing something to the table, right? We've seen it, we know it, we understand it, but at some point, things need to be brought to the table. Before I close on my motion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to also move that Representative Charlie Balbastro be included as a co-sponsor to the legislation.
There has been a motion to add Representative Balbastro as a co-sponsor to the bill. Are there any objections? Hearing seen none, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to restate my motion. I move to place Bill number 2-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the motion to place Bill number 2-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? There has been an objection by Representative Kalimlim. Are there any other objections? There has been another objection by Representative Imbat. Are there any other objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, can we call for a moment's recess?
There's been a motion to go into a brief recess. Are there any objections?
Thank you.
Hearing or seeing none, the motion carries. The 35th Guam Youth Congress is back from recess. There has been a parliamentary mishap. I now call upon Speaker Fortuno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to reconsider the actions of the body in placing Bill number 2-35 COR into the third reading file.
Thank you, Speaker Fortuno. On the motion to place Bill number 2-35 COR.
To reconsider the actions of the body.
My apologies. To reconsider Bill 2-35 COR as introduced. Are there any objections? Hearing seen none, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to make sure that we are conducting this in a parliamentary manner and, of course, highlights the concerns of those who have opposed to the legislation, which they are rightfully entitled to. I once again move to place Bill number 2-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting.
There has been a motion to place Bill 2-35 COR into the third reading file for voting. Are there any objections? There's been an objection by Representative Kum Lim Lim. All in favor of the objection, please. All in favor of placing the bill 2-35 COR into the third reading file, please raise your hand. It has been voted unanimously. I kindly ask that all representatives please raise your hands. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With 13 votes, the bill is passed. My apologies. The bill passes with 14 votes. Now, moving the bill to the third reading file for voting. Speaker Fortuno, you are recognized on your next bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's a first for everything. We got this. All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at this time, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 3-35 COR as substituted by the Committee on Law Enforcement, Emergency Management, Municipalities, and Federal Military and Regional Affairs, introduced by myself, Austin G. Fortuno, Nathan I. Paz, and Nicole Therese Guerrero. An act to amend Section 40125A of Chapter 40, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to enhancing youth representation in village governance by including Guam Youth Congress village representatives as ex officio non-voting members of their respective village municipal planning councils, and to provide for the mayoral appointment of a youth representative in the absence of an elected Guam Youth Congress representative. And Mr. Speaker, I request for the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to introduce a bill that in essence enhances the existing framework within our island when it comes to youth representation in government. Mr. Speaker, this legislation recognizes that the youth of Guam are not just the leaders of tomorrow. They are active contributors today. Our villages, whether in Dededo, Hagatnya, Zonya, or Mangilao, face unique challenges that affect families, schools, and communities. From youth recreation and school programs to community safety and public spaces, decisions that are made at the village level by our mayors and vice mayors, by the municipal planning councils, directly impact the daily lives of our residents. By including Guam Youth Congress representatives as ex officio non-voting members, Mr. Speaker, this bill ensures that young people from each village have a seat at the table. They bring perspectives that are rooted in local experience, insights on their school environments, neighborhood concerns, recreational needs, issues affecting youth employment and volunteerism. They understand firsthand the barriers and opportunities that face their peers, and they can provide practical ideas for solutions that adults might overlook. Mr. Speaker, this engagement also allows our youth to help shape programs that reflect the tomorrow values of community, respect, and collaboration. while also fostering civic responsibility and leadership skills. For example, a youth representative in Manilao could offer input on safe public gathering spaces within his or her village, while a representative in Jigo could provide recommendations for youth-led service projects that strengthen community ties. Across all villages, Mr. Speaker, these contributions ensure that planning decisions are relevant, effective, and inclusive. The bill also provides a framework for continuity in youth participation. The seats aren't always going to be filled, Mr. Speaker, and that is why at the committee level, we sought to address this possible hole in the legislation. Where a village does not yet have or currently have an elected youth Congress representative, the mayor may appoint a qualified youth resident to serve temporarily, guaranteeing that the voice of youth is always present. Now, once a special election is held, Mr. Speaker, the elected representative assumes the seat, ensuring consistency and sustained youth engagement. Mr. Speaker, by formally including youth voices in our municipal planning councils, we are empowering our young people to take ownership of their communities. Their input strengthens local governance and drives innovative solutions to village challenges and helps create programs and policies that are truly reflective of the needs of our island. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize that, again, the Guam Youth Congress is leading by example. We are showing that the Guam's youth are capable, responsible, and ready to actively participate in the governance of their villages. By passing this bill, we ensure that young people are not just spectators, they are partners in shaping the future of their community and of Guam as a whole. For these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I respectfully submit Bill number 3-35 COR for the body's consideration and ask for the support of my colleagues. Sidus Masi.
Sizos Masi, Mr. Speaker. Are there any representatives wishing to speak? Representative Charfris, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First off, I would like to show appreciation for Speaker Fortuno for offering this bill. I support this bill because I do believe that the youth voices, they do play a part in how these villages run. And at least for the village of Manilao, we do have a younger council member, and I believe that has contributed significantly to how our village has grown so successfully. Now, this isn't to bash the other villages that may not have this, but I do see the effects and I do see the results that it has in my village, and I would like for the rest of the villages on the island to have that opportunity and see the growth, especially Derido and Jigo, where they have some of the higher populations, and with the whole Sanchez thing going on, I believe that there are a lot of youth concerns that aren't being brought up within the municipal area or within the municipal ring. So I do support this. I do support this resolution, and yeah, that's it. I urge the rest of our colleagues to also support this bill, not resolution. Thank you.
Sizos Masi, Representative Charfris. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak? Representative Guerrero, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong support of Bill number 3-35 COR as amended. This particular bill has gone through a lot of changes during the committee markup, and I'm thankful for the different voices that we heard during that hearing that allowed us to be able to recognize that although not all village seats are filled in the Guam Youth Congress, there continues and there maintains to be an importance to get a younger voice in these important bodies. On the village level, many of my colleagues represent their villages. However, they may or may not have a strong relationship with the municipality planning council, and that's really something that we're hoping to standardize with this bill. And I commend the author for introducing this bill because it forges a stronger connection between the youth of the respective villages and their actual mayor's office. as I'm sure many youth have this experience, you don't even really know where your mayor's office is most of the time. That's not something that is common here. And by forging a stronger relationship, by knowing that you have representation in this council, although you may be hesitant to reach out to other members of the council, you know who your representative is. You know who the representative is serving in the Guam Youth Congress. You know that they can not only bring your concerns both to the Guam Youth Congress body, but also within the municipality level. That's an important factor, especially as we as a body have recognized how on the front lines our mayor's offices are, right? By having youth representation within these councils, we are getting the concerns of the youth straight to where they need to be heard, right? Rather than waiting on the legislative process on our end, which I'm sure we will tackle, it gets their voices and their opinions heard straight to the mayor and through these councils. And so by standardizing this relationship, we're ensuring that not only us as the current body have these strong relationships with our respective mayors, but also future bodies of the Guam Youth Congress and the youth of these respective villages who may not have a representative within this body continues to have their voices heard. So again, I rise in strong support of this bill, and I urge my colleagues to do the same, and I commend the author for allowing the youth voices to continue to be heard at every level of this government, whether that be at the village level or at the legislative level, what we're doing. But that is all. Situs Masi, Mr. Speaker.
Caesar's Masi. Representative Guerrero, are you, any other representatives wishing to speak? Floor Leader Paz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong support of this bill as a proud co-sponsor. As discussed in committee, this bill, or the goal of this bill, is really to enhance the collaboration between youth village representatives and their respective mayor's offices. So part of a majority of my experience working with the village, unfortunately, has been very minimal, and usually only get the chance to interact with my mayor during local village events, or when it's time to re-register for the Guam Youth Congress. So with this bill being put forward, it helps to encourage, foster that relationship between our youth reps. And I encourage all of our representatives here to vote yes in support of this bill. Thank you.
Are there any other representatives wishing to speak? Hearing or seeing none, Speaker Fortuno, you are free to close on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Thank you to my colleagues for their words of support on the legislation. I was going to ask Representative Guerrero to co-sponsor, but she's already a sponsor. It's like she introduced it herself. Just kidding. Anyways, I thank the support of my colleagues on this legislation. And as Representative Charfers best put it, right, it's something that is in practice. We're seeing it in the villages. He's attested to the municipality of Mangilao having a similar structure. Representative Guerrero and I, as well as Representative Liu of Dededo, are actively participating in the Municipal Planning Council deliberations. But the proposition with this legislation is to standardize and create a universal structure where every village representative that is elected by the youth of their village to come to this body are able to also become a part of the village level governance. And as I put it in my introductory statement, right, we're recognizing that the youth of Guam are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they're the leaders of today. And it is incumbent upon us to use this untapped resources as we chart the future of our island. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, before I move to closing, I move to add Representative Anthony Charfers as a co-sponsor to the legislation, as well as every other representative that is here on the floor.
There has been a motion to add every representative present today as a co-sponsor to Bill 3-35 COR. Are there any objections? Hearing and seeing none, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with that, I wish to restate my motion. I move to place Bill number 3-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting.
There has been a motion by Speaker Fortuno. There has been a motion by Speaker Fortuno on the motion to place Bill 3-35 COR into the third reading file for voting. Are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion carries. Colleagues, we will now take a 1-minute recess.
Thank you, colleagues. The 35th Guam Youth Congress is called back to order. We are still on the second reading file. Madam Assistant Floor Leader, you are recognized.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 8-35 COR, introduced by Nicole Therese Guerrero, which is an act to amend Section 7103, 7105, and 7107 of Chapter 7, Title 2, Guam Code Annotated, relative to updating the membership provisions of the Guam Youth Congress to reflect current educational designations and include charter school representation, and I request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, Bill number 8-35 COR is what I believe to be common sense legislation, which seeks to update the provisions pertaining to this body, the Guam Youth Congress, in terms of allowing the current statute to reflect current educational designations, as well as updating it to ensure charter schools are represented within this body. I'll start first on the updating it to ensure that current designations align with GDOE standards. If we look at the statute of the Guam Youth Congress, which is Chapter 7 of the Title 2 Guam Code Annotated, if you look at the provisions regarding membership, currently it states that one representative shall come from each public or private junior or senior high school. Now, as we know, we no longer have junior high school or senior high schools. Back in the 80s, GDOE actually realigned to align with the middle school model. And so junior high schools no longer exist on our island. However, the statutes governing this particular body continue to maintain junior high schools as having representation. What this bill seeks to do is to simply have it to where it says high school, which meets the 14 to 24 years old criteria that we have in the Guam Youth Congress, 25-year-old criteria that we have in the Guam Youth Congress, so that it simply now reads public or private high schools. And along with that comes the second point of this bill, which is to ensure that charter schools are currently represented within this body. Now, there's nothing preventing charter schools from being represented in this body. They do technically qualify as public or private high schools, the charter schools that are operating as high schools. However, charter schools within itself are recognized by current Guam statute as having its own designation, right? And so by aligning Guam Youth Congress standards in terms of the statute of membership with the current educational terms that we're using, this ensures that when we do things like outreaches for our next upcoming election, we purposefully include charter schools. Charter schools have often not been not been reached out to with regards to prior elections, which is why we're unfortunately not seeing a large number of charter school representation within this body. Now, this is changing with our upcoming special elections and hopefully our general elections as well. But by codifying representation from charter schools through Bill 8-35 COR, we're ensuring that they are represented. And colleagues, for your reference, there's currently 7 charter schools operating within our island. 4 of those are operating as high schools. So we're potentially looking at representation from 4 more high schools that is currently missing within this body right now. And I hope that, and I encourage my colleagues, and I humbly request my colleagues for their support in this bill to ensure that we are covering all of our bases in terms of youth representation, to ensure that there is meaningful representation within this body that is both comprehensive and currently aligns with the educational designation that we're currently using. It's time to update these designations. It's time to update the statutes that's governing the body that allowed us to have the seats that we're currently sitting in. So with that, Siduous Masi, Mr. Speaker, and I open it up now for the deliberation from the rest of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader. Are there any representatives wishing to speak on Bill number 8-35 COR? Oh, sorry. Vice Speaker Toigui, you're recognized.
Sizu's Masi, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to just start off by saying that I am in support of this bill, and that this bill is about fairness and foresight. By updating the outdated language, it is including charter schools. And we, as the youth legislators, we are ensuring that every student has a voice in the Guam Youth Congress, and that we are ensuring that those students who are in charter schools that are in high schools have representation here in the Youth Congress, and that they are representing their constituents. Representation must be guaranteed now. And by supporting this measure, it means that we're choosing inclusion, accuracy, and leadership for our youth. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I would like to also make a motion to be a co-sponsor of this bill. Sizu's Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. On a motion to add Vice Speaker Toigui as a co-sponsor to the legislation, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the legislation? Bill number 8-35 COR. Hearing or seeing none. Oh, Secretary Pangilinan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to rise in support of this bill. As coming from a charter school, I believe they are being really underrepresented, and this bill not only expands what a charter school is to the public, and sorry, I think that's it for me. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say I rise in support, and I'd like to make a motion to add myself as a co-sponsor to this bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Secretary Pangilinan. On the motion to add Secretary Pangilinan as a co-sponsor to the legislation, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the legislation? Bill number 8-35 COR. Hearing or seeing none, Madam Assistant Floor Leader, you're free to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleagues as well for their testimony of support. Again, I started it off by saying I think that this is a common sense legislation, and it really is time to update the current provisions that we have governing this body to reflect the current realities of our educational system and ensure a more comprehensive youth representation. And I've welcomed the conversations that have arisen out of this, and I'm hoping that through this piece of legislation, we're able to expand the Guam Youth Congress to ensure that more representatives can be present and more representatives avail of this opportunity to represent their village or their school, whether that be a public, private, or charter school. And I, once again, thank my colleagues. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to include all those present currently on the floor as co-sponsors to Bill 8-35 COR.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader. On a motion to add all representatives present and voting for this session as co-sponsors, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sizus Masi, Mr. Speaker. And with that, I move to place Bill number 8-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader. On the motion to place Bill number 8-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Representative Yang of Manilao, you're recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 10-35 COR introduced by Jason Yang, which is an act to extend the youth risk behavior survey to include private and charter schools in Guam, to be known as the Guam Youth Risk Behavior Survey Inclusion Act of 2025, and request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bill number 10-35 COR is an act to extend the youth risk behavior survey to include private and charter schools in Guam, to be known as the Guam Youth Risk Behavior Survey Inclusion Act of 2025. The Youth Risk Behavior Survey, also known as the YRBS, provides essential data for assessing health risk behaviors. The information collected are used by the Guam's Department of Public Health and Social Services and the Centers for Disease Control to inform policies, practices, and programs that support youth well-being. YRBS data currently monitors 6 health risk behavior categories. They include 1, behaviors that contribute to unintentional injuries and violence; 2, sexual behaviors that contribute to HIV infection, other sexually transmitted diseases, and unintended pregnancy; 3, tobacco usage; 4, alcohol and other drug usage; 5, unhealthy dietary behaviors; and lastly, 6, physical inactivities. All these categories of interest are critical in shaping a healthy future. When I met with our territorial epidemiologist, Mr. Patrick Soto, he mentioned that a community health assessment for youth will greatly help uncover youth health trends and facilitate interventions that protect Guam youth communities. With this in mind, I connected with Dr. Annette David, Ms. Karina Reyes, and Ms. Krisha Ray from the Guam Behavior Health and Wellness Center, and Ms. Selene Higa, the YRBS coordinator from GDOE. They collectively told me about how currently the YRBS is only conducted biannually in the Guam Department of Education, GDOE middle and high schools. From there, the representativeness of the samples stood out to me, because through my statistics classes, I've seen the importance of drawing conclusions from data that best represents the entire population. Guam youth attend a variety of schools. The most common are GDOE, private, and charter schools. Students in these different environments may have different behaviors, exposures, and experiences. Therefore, expanding survey participation will provide a more complete picture of youth health on our island. By acquiring these statistics, we can expect the development of important policies that will help youth excel in academics and promote healthy relationships in peers, teachers, and family. And that concludes my opening remarks.
Thank you, Representative Yang of Manilao, on her main motion. Are there any representatives who wish to speak on the bill? Representative Charfris, you're recognized.
Buenas, everyone. Today, I rise in support of Representative Yang's bill. I believe that this kind of goes hand in hand with your bill, with the whole juvenile correction. I believe this bill plays a very foundational part in actually deliberating on how we should address the ongoing incidents that have been happening in the schools, because this looks at the core. This looks at the core causes of why these outcomes are happening. And when we take into consideration that this isn't a fairly representative survey, we don't look at where the problems are only happening. We're looking at everyone. Though it may happen more in public schools and though it may happen more in public middle and high schools, we are still leaving out a population that is still at risk. And it doesn't matter if they're public or, it shouldn't matter if they're public, private, charter, elementary, middle, or high school. There are issues within there are issues within the youth community of this island, and I believe that this helps us get down to the bottom of it. And as the grandson of a teacher who's been teaching within the GDOE public schools, public elementary schools, there have been a lot more times where my grandma has told me about incidents that you wouldn't expect to happen within the elementary setting, where vapes are being found in the school or found in school bags, where contraband is being found in the school bag. And the fact that we're only acknowledging problems when they get to the middle school and high school levels, I believe that's not doing any part of our community justice. And it's worse when we only look at that. So I stand in support of this bill, and I would like to make an amendment, or I'd like to make a motion to become a co-sponsor of this bill, if that is all right with the original author. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfus of Mangilao. On his motion to place himself as a co-sponsor onto the bill, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the bill? Representative Kodiyamplakal of Tumuning Tuman Harmon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in full and enthusiastic support of Bill Number 10-35, the Guam Youth Risk Behavior Survey Inclusion Act of 2025. The legislation is extremely important because it ensures that data about youth health and behavior is comprehensive and truly representative of all students on Guam, including those in private and charter schools. Accurate data is found for effective programs, policies, and the interventions that protect the well-being of our youth. So extending the survey to all schools will give us a clearer understanding of the challenges our students face and allow us to make informed decisions to support them. So for these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I respectfully request to be added as a co-sponsor of this critical bill, and I thank Representative Yang for leading this initiative to strengthen the youth health and safety on Guam.
Thank you, Representative Kodiyamplakal. On her motion to have her name included as a co-sponsor on the legislation, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the bill? Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of Bill Number 10-35. As a student from a private school, I know firsthand that the challenges we face are not limited to one school system. Issues like mental health, substance abuse, violence affect students in public, private, and charter schools. So I support this bill, and I want to add a motion to be a co-sponsor to this bill.
Thank you, Representative Fernandez. On her motion to be added as a co-sponsor onto the bill, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the bill? All right, Representative Yang of Manila, you are free to close on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for all the representatives in support of this bill. And I will also urge the other representative to support this bill in order for a collection of representative data and to ensure that policies and interventions made are based off of accurate representation of the youth health on Guam. And Mr. Speaker, I move to place Bill Number 10-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Representative Yang of Manila. On her motion to place Bill Number 10-35 COR as amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Floor Leader Paz of GIGO, you are recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, I move to suspend Section 70304 of our amended standing rules relative to resolving into the Committee of the Whole in consideration of Bill number 9-35 COR, which contains an appropriation.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On the motion, notwithstanding House rules, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Vice Speaker Toigi of Tumuning Tumon Harmon, you are now recognized on your main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 9-35 COR, introduced by myself, Trevin Toigui, co-sponsored by Representative Jihu Cha, Representative Charlie Balbascio, and Representative Siana Santos, and Representative Neho Codian-Placo. It is an act to appropriate funds for the purchase and installation of safety barriers at all school bus stops across Guam to ensure the protection and well-being of students through enhanced transportation, safety, and security. Also to be known as the Guam Student Shield Safety Act of 2025, and I request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed, Mr. Vice Speaker.
Half a day to my fellow colleagues, members of the Guam Congress. I rise today to introduce the Guam Student Shield Safety Act of 2025, a bill that confronts a silent but urgent threat facing our youth every single day. Across our island, students wait at school buses areas that lack basic protective infrastructure. They stand on the edges of busy roads, exposed to speeding vehicles, poor visibility, and unpredictable drivers. These are not rare occurrences. These are our daily realities, and they are unacceptable. This bill is not just a response to one incident, it is a response to a pattern of neglect. It appropriates $1 million from the fiscal year 2025 net unobligated excess revenues to the Department of Public Works. These funds are dedicated solely to the purchase, installation, maintenance, and safety barriers at every school bus stop across Guam. This includes both permanent and temporary structures, ensuring that even provisional pickup and drop-off points are protected. The legislation defines high-risk areas based on traffic volume, history of vehicular incidents, and environmental factors that increase danger. It mandates that each bus stop to be equipped with no fewer than 2 safety barriers positioned to shield students from the oncoming traffic. It requires that the Department of Public Works to assess each location, collaborate with the Guam Department of Education, and to prioritize areas that pose greatest risk. To ensure accountability, the bill establishes a safety committee composed of engineers, safety officers, and community representatives. This committee will oversee implementation, compliance, and maintenance of these safety barriers. The department must submit a biannual progress report detailing expenditures, installation status, and barrier effectiveness to the Guam legislature and to the Youth Congress and village mayors. This bill also creates a public feedback mechanism, allowing parents, students, and community members to report safety concerns and to suggest improvements. This feedback will be reviewed quarterly and incorporated into planning and maintenance efforts. Importantly, the bill ensures that all safety barriers, including those designed for emergency access or student movement, meet the same standards of structural integrity, visibility, and durability. No compromise will be made on the primary function of these barriers to protect students from vehicular traffic and external hazards. This legislation is comprehensive, it is strategic, and it is necessary. It does not wait for tragedy to strike, and we must act now with urgency and foresight. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. On his main motion, are there any representatives wishing to speak on the legislation? Representative Charfers of Manila, you are recognized.
First off, I'd like to apologize for coming up to this mic so often. Okay? Right, I know it's kind of dealing on time. But I would like to thank Vice Speaker Trevin Toigui for introducing this bill. As someone who goes to pick up their sister after school from Montsalon Middle School, I see all the traffic that's coming in and out of in front of that school. I see that not oftentimes there will be cars that are flying by that traffic light just to get to that intersection where they get stopped by another traffic light. So I don't think really, anyways, right? But what I also see is I see a bus stop. I see a bus stop that is exposed to all this high traffic, especially around 3:30, where the children of PC Lujan are being exposed. Because we all know a sidewalk's not gonna stop a car from ramming into that bus stop. But also as someone who's rode the public buses, I know that in the morning, there's not a lot of supervision in these areas. There's not a lot of precautions that are being taken to actually ensure the safety. Yes, there's a bus shelter, and sometimes they're not always up to par, but the bus shelter is there. But what I do think, and Vice Speaker Trevor Ntoigwe has done, is he's adding another precautionary measure, one that helps us not be reactive to the incident, but proactive to future incidents. There are so many children in our island who use the bus stops, and there are so many children who are the children of parents who can't always be there at the bus stop, whether they're departing or arriving to the bus stop. What we can do, I think we should do it. I think we should all pass this measure because it helps with this vulnerable community who relies on the public transportation system. And I do again thank Representative Atoigwe for introducing this bill. So please rise in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers of Mangilao. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the legislation? Representative Cha of Mangmong Toto Maiti, you recognize.
I would like to rise to support this bill. I believe that this legislation is an important and necessary step toward protecting our students at school bus stops throughout our island. Every day, children wait along busy roads, and it is our responsibility to make sure that they have a safe environment. The safety and well-being of our students must always come first, and this act invests in the protection of our youth, and I fully support its passage. For these reasons, I respectfully urge my colleagues to join me in my support for this act. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cha. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the legislation? Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand in support of this bill because as someone who went to Onsalon Middle School and walks across that crossroad and used the bus stop next to it, I have been met with firsthand experiences of cars flying by. I've even been feet away from a car hitting a student, one of my peers, because they were flying. Yeah. I support this bill, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fernandez. And we're glad that you didn't get hit. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the legislation? Representative or Floor Leader Paz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Speaker Fortuno. I rise in support of this bill, and I echo the same sentiments as my previous representatives. However, I do have a point of inquiry for the main sponsor of this bill. My point of inquiry my main concern as discussed during the committee hearing was that we are making a appropriation to the sum of $1 million for the construction of these bus shields and these temporary construction shelters. And my main concern is, convincing the legislature to make this significant appropriation. Anyway, my main question for the main sponsor is, does he have a number or any recent data indicating the amount of I guess, student-related fatalities occurring at our public and private school bus stops? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. Mr. Vice Speaker, do you yield to the question?
I yield to the question, Mr. Speaker.
All right.
To answer Floor Leader Paz's question, while I was drafting out this bill, I did get in contact with DPW, but this was about 2 months ago, and the price quote that I got for safety barrier, it's a standard safety barrier, was $1,200. But that is not including the delivery fee and the fee to paint it and to make it visible to the drivers on the road. But I am still in communications with the DPW director to get more quotes to see what is the price quote for the different types of safety barriers, as it states in the bill that it is depending on the Department of Public Works to assess what type of safety barriers is effective for for all the bus stops across Guam. I know that there is safety barriers that are located in a lot of the bus stops right now, some being in the village of Tumuning where I live. Mayor Luis Rivera, she has put safety barriers at the school bus stops where I live, and I'm not too sure around any other village. But this bill is to appropriate the fundings to get every school bus stop a safety barrier, and to, of course, the section in this bill is to also give some funding to allocate funding to build temporary bus stops on the locations that are designated as pickup and drop-off areas. So I hope that my response answered the question to Floor Leader Paz.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Mr. Floor Leader, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the Vice Speaker, Atoigwe. I apologize if I guess my question wasn't clear earlier, but my main concern was the number of student-related fatalities occurring at Guam public school bus stops over the past couple of years.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. Mr. Vice Speaker, you want to yield to the question?
I yield to the question. Sisus Masi, Ms. Floor Leader Paz. There is a couple, but I was doing my research and it wasn't related to school bus stops, but there was incidents to vehicular accidents at a school bus stop, one being recently from this year in January. I can pull up the link, but I would need to go ahead and find that. But the main point here is that we should not wait to see an incident on the news that a child was struck at a school bus stop waiting for their school bus to come and pick them up. We should not wait to see that. As our constituents elected us into this position, we promised to them that we are going to serve them, that we are going to serve their voices and advocate for them. So my colleagues present today, I strongly urge you all to vote yes for this bill, because it is ensuring that we are hearing the voices of our constituents, and most especially, we are taking one less thing of these parents' worries after sending their child to the bus stop. A lot of these students do not have the luxury to get dropped off and picked up from school. And myself being one, me and my brothers, we take the school bus back home. But we are so fortunate enough to be dropped off to school. As we are JFK students, we all see that we are in double session. These students are having to be out at their bus stop way before sunrise. And this is around 5, maybe 5:30, maybe even less than that. So my colleagues present today, this bill is to act now. And we should all act upon it now. We should not wait to see an incident happen or report on the news that there was a student struck, most especially a younger student. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I hope that my response answered the Floor Leader Paz's point of inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Mr. Floor Leader Paz, you still have the floor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Vice Speaker Atoigwe that his response sufficiently answered my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On the main motion, are there any other representatives wishing to speak on the legislation? Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise and support this bill because I have already experienced one Benevente Middle School student who accidentally got ran over from a car from one of my previous early high school years. And I hope with the safety barriers finally installed, I hope that all students will receive a much safer transportation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Velasco of GCC. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the main motion? Representative Yang of Manila, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a point of inquiry. So for the protected barriers, is it for like on the bus stop or also around the bus stop?
Thank you, Representative Yang. Do you yield to the question, Mr. Vice Speaker?
Yes, I do.
Alrighty.
So to answer your question, the safety barriers will be positioned at the front of the bus stop, but of course it is through the assessment of DPW to see whether or not they need to place the safety barriers either around it or in front of it. It really depends on where the ongoing traffic is located. Most of the bus stops here in Guam, the ongoing traffic is located in the front of the bus stop. So it is up to DPW whether or not they're going to place the safety barriers in the front, on the sides, or in the back. Wherever the students are exposed to, that is where the safety barriers will be placed. But the bill does state that every bus stop should not have less than 2 safety barriers. So it is totally up to DPW if they have to add in 4 safety barriers, 5, 6, to protect these students. It is totally up to them as long as the students are safe from ongoing traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Representative Yang, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Atoigi for clarifying. And I would like to say that I rise in support of this bill, but I would also like to point out an area of concern because I noticed that bus stops are usually alongside the road, and the bus that is traveling to and from or across the road is across from the bus stop. So I'm not too sure if a car was to be traveling would directly impact a bus stop if it was just traveling up and down the road. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Representative Yang. On the main motion, are there any other representatives who wish to speak on Bill number 9-35? Here, seeing none, Vice Speaker Toigu, you're free to close.
Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to bring up one occasion that happened with myself and my younger brother when we were in middle school. We have a school bus stop that is located right in front of a convenience store. And as we were waiting for our school bus to arrive, we were under the school bus stop. This car all of a sudden backed up into the school bus stop. And I thank God that there was a parent there who pushed us out of the way. Who would have known what would happen to us? And at that time, there was no safety barriers. So with this bill, it is to ensure the safety of all the students who do not have the luxuries of getting picked up and dropped off to school. And to ensure our parents, to the parents of the students that they send to the school bus stops, that they have one less thing to worry about. Yes, their safety is something that they should worry, but this is going to take off a little bit of that stress that, hey, these safety barriers are going to protect my child from ongoing traffic. And to answer Representative Yang's concern, yes, school bus stops are located on the side of the road with ongoing traffic going up and down. But we have unpredictable drivers here on Guam, and that goes for everywhere. We do not know whether or not they are going to swerve into the bus stop or whatever. There is a lot of drivers who just, for example, came from the beach from drinking all night, and they're probably under the influence. We never know, and that is the reason why we are taking action now to appropriate fundings for these safety barriers. And so to my colleagues present today, let this be the moment we choose to protect our constituents, not with words, but with walls. Let this be the moment we refuse to accept danger as a routine and instead build shields that say that every student, you are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you will not be exposed. Let this be the moment we prove that leadership means standing in the gap between risk and safety. When the youth of Guam saw a threat, us young legislators, we responded with resolve that when lives were at stake, we did not hesitate. Let this be the moment we honor every parent's hope and every child's right to feel safe. Because if we cannot guarantee a safety at bus stops, then we have failed before the day even begun. Let this be the moment we choose not to wait until tragedy strikes, not to wait until we see it on the news, and not to wait until sorrow becomes our teacher. Instead, let this be the moment we acted before regret could ever arrive. Let this be our legacy, and that we chose action, that we chose protection, and that we chose to be brave and to represent the voices of Guam's youth. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, Sizuas Masi, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Could you restate your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the motion, my apologies. I move to place Bill 9-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Not with words, but with walls. On the motion to place the bill into the third reading file for voting, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion's carried. All right. I will now go ahead and recognize Representative Cody Yamplakal on her main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, I move to place into the third reading file Bill number 5-35 COR, introduced by Neho Joby Coriamplaco, an act to add a new section 51605 to Chapter 51, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing and requiring the provision and maintenance of trash and recycling receptacles in all public and private schools. Public, private, and charter schools in Guahan, to be known as the School Waste Management and Recycling Support Act of 2025, and request to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before explaining why I introduced this bill, I want to start by clearly outlining what this legislation actually does, especially for those who may be hearing it for the first time. Bill 5-35, the School Waste Management and Recycling Support Act of 2025, creates a simple, structured system to make every public, private, and charter school on Guam to have the basic tools needed for proper waste disposal. It requires schools to place recycling receptacles in the area students and staff use every day. It also requires those bins to be maintained so it doesn't overflow or create any health issues. Schools will develop internal procedures for sorting waste, with student councils assisting under the guidance of administrators. GDOE, working with GEPA, will issue guidance on where the receptacles should be placed, how they should be labeled, and how schools can use them as a part of environmental education. GEPA will provide advisory support and may help schools monitor or improve their programs. Schools will also have the option to partner with private organizations or community groups to strengthen their recycling efforts. In short, this bill gives every school a clear framework, the support to flow it, and the flexibility to partner with others if needed. So what motivated me to introduce this policy wasn't just what I see on campuses, but also what I see at Guam beaches. I host monthly Guaya Tasik beach cleanups every month, and we collect the same type of waste: plastic bottles, aluminum cans, food packaging, and other items that could have been easily recycled if they were sorted correctly in the first place. These beaches show us the end results of habits that have never had the chance to form, and those habits start in our schools. Students genuinely care about the environment, and I see that in my cleanup volunteers and in the younger students I talk with. But when campuses don't have enough bins or recycling bins at all, the bins aren't maintained, students aren't given the opportunity to build those habits. So this bill is meant to close that gap by giving schools the structure and support to make responsible waste disposal a normal part of student life. This policy also helps students avoid confusion. If it gives GEPA and GDOE the responsibility to provide guidance so schools aren't left just guessing on where trash goes. It allows partnerships so no school is stuck without resources, and it encourages student involvement while keeping the responsibility for sanitation and maintenance into the hands of the school staff. Professionally speaking, this bill establishes a standardized program, ensures accessible receptacles, promotes regular maintenance, and supports environmental education, and gives the schools the backing they need from the island's environmental agencies. It moves our school system toward consistent, sustainable waste practices, and students can learn from that and take it into the rest of the island. Ultimately, this is about a long-term change. So when students learn how to sort waste properly at school and have the option of a recycling bin, they carry that habit home and to their future workplaces and mainly to the island community. So over time, that reduces litter, strengthens recycling efforts, and protects the beaches we work so hard to clean every month. So for these reasons, I urge support for the passage of Bill 5-35. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kodiyampakal. On her main motion, are there any representatives who wish to speak on the legislation? Representative Imbat of Ukuru, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first of all, I would like to rise in support of this bill. And I do condemn the author with respect in regards to this bill, because this also helps not only environmental clubs at schools support their promotion of recycling literacy and education, but I believe that this is very important in establishing habits throughout schools and education. Therefore, I would like to make a motion to add myself as well as Representative O, who gave me her consent before she had left, as a co-sponsor of this bill.
Thank you, Representative Imbat. On her motion to include herself and Representative O as co-sponsors on the legislation, are there any objections? Here, seeing none, the motion's carried. Still have the floor, Representative Imbat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alrighty. Are there any other representatives who wish to speak on the main motion? Secretary Pangilinan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of Bill 5-35, and I'd just like to add that, from my understanding, their recycling bins aren't as frequent in most schools as it is anywhere else, and this bill not only helps expand that, but it also introduces it to charter and private schools as a requirement. And I go to a private school, and there aren't much recycling bins there, and it's mainly trash mixed with recycling waste. So yeah, I'd like to rise in support for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Pangilinan. On the main motion, are there any other representatives who wish to speak? Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to also rise in support of this legislation. I thank the author for drafting up this bill. I think it's really good that we're trying to expand recycling efforts across Guam high schools and private schools. I know our Leaf Club does recycling with a recycling bin with iRecycle, but this can definitely be an effort expanded with other high schools and also private schools, like we are trying to do here in the Youth Congress with bills that include our private school colleagues. And so I thank Representative Kodiyampakal for this bill, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru. On the main motion, are there any representatives who wish to speak on the main motion? Hearing or seeing none, Representative Kodiyampakal, you're free to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to thank everyone here for taking the time to hear Bill 5-35 today. Your attention and consideration meant a lot, especially because this bill isn't about giving our students just the tools to take care of their schools and their island, but also building habits for the future. I encourage my colleagues to support this bill, not just as a policy, but as a step towards teaching responsibility, building good habits, and protecting the environment that we all share. So thank you again for your time, your support, and your commitment to the future of Guam. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I move to place Bill number 5-35 COR as introduced into the third reading file for voting.
Thank you, Representative Kodiyampakal. On her motion to place her bill into the third reading file, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Colleagues, we'll just take a moment's recess. Good morning, colleagues. The 35th Guam Youth Congress is called back to order. We are still on the second reading file. Next on our agenda, colleagues, is Bill number 6-35 COR, which was introduced by Representative Liu. Representative Liu is not present on the floor. We were not given proper notice as to her absence. And so to let the record show that the chair commands the Sergeant at Arms to communicate with Representative Liu to get a status on her absence. With that in mind, we'll move on to the next legislation on the agenda, and I'll go ahead and recognize Vice Speaker Atoygui on his main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the author, Representative Caden Pobletsi, I will be introducing his bill. I move to place Bill number 12-35 COR as amended by the Committee on Law Enforcement, Emergency Management, Municipalities, and Federal Military and Regional Affairs. Introduced by Representative Caden N.O. Pobletsi, myself, Vice Speaker Trevin Atoygui, Representative Anthony Joseph Charfris, Representative Charlie Babasho, and Speaker Austin G. Fortuno. An act to add a new section 1043 to Chapter 10, Title 1, Guam Code annotated relative to designating October 20th as Mayor's Office Recognition Day, and to be given the opportunity to speak on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Please proceed.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Caden Pobletsi, good morning, colleagues. Today I rise to introduce legislation that holds great significance for our communities across Guam. This bill seeks to formally establish October 20th as Mayor's Office Recognition Day, a day dedicated to honoring the unwavering dedication and service of our mayors, vice mayors, and municipal staff. This initiative builds upon the collective efforts of the Guam Youth Congress, which on October 13, 2025, introduced Resolution 3-35 COR, encouraging all municipalities to recognize this day. Our local leaders are the backbone of our villages. They maintain infrastructure, respond to emergencies, lead beautification projects, and serve as the front line of community support. Their leadership, resilience, and daily sacrifices are crucial to strengthening our social fabric and ensuring a safe, clean, and welcoming environment for all residents and visitors to our island. This legislation aims to make that recognition official. If enacted, it will direct the governor to issue an annual proclamation encouraging our community to observe Mayor's Office Recognition Day. It will also establish a dedicated committee to coordinate activities in collaboration with village mayors and organizations, allowing us to visibly show our appreciation for their vital contributions. As I've said before, our mayors and their teams are the heart of our villages. They are the advocates, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes who keep Guam moving forward. Recognizing their service isn't just a symbolic gesture. It is a meaningful way to uplift and honor those who dedicate their lives to our communities. Before discussion, I would like to thank on behalf of Representative Pobletsi, he would like to thank myself, Vice Speaker Atoygui, Representative Charfris, Representative Babasho, and Speaker Fortuno on co-sponsoring this legislation. Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. On the main motion, are there any representatives wishing to speak on the motion? Representative Charfris of Manila, you're recognized.
Good morning, colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a motion. To propose an amendment to the body. I move to amend page 2, line 24, to change the designation from President of the Mayor's Council of Guam to Executive Director of the Mayor's Council of Guam. The Executive Director is responsible for the administrative and operational functions of the organization. Therefore, instead of the Mayor serving as the President of the Mayor's Council of Guam and appointing the committee, I recommend allowing the Executive Director to appoint the committee responsible for planning and organizing appropriate activities for this observance. I hope my colleagues will support this measure, and I would like to ask the clerk of the legislature to make the necessary changes during the engrossment period. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Charfus, that would be the clerk of the Youth Congress. And on the Charfus amendment, are there any representatives wishing to speak on the Charfus amendment to replace President of the Mayor's Council with Executive Director of the Mayor's Council? All right, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of the Charfus amendment? All in favor, please signify your vote by raising your hand. Charfus amendment passes. We are now back on the main motion. Are there any representatives wishing to speak on the main motion? Hearing or seeing none, Mr. Vice Speaker, you're free to close.
Jesus Mossy, Mr. Speaker. And on behalf of Representative Pobletti, he would like to respectfully ask for everyone's support of this measure so that we can collectively recognize and celebrate the invaluable work of our municipal leaders. And I will also like to add on that when I introduced the resolution 3-35 COR, and presented it to our mayors, vice mayors, and their awesome staff, we have seen so much support from that. And I have seen the amount of smiles, the amount of recognition, and the amount of comments stating from our mayors, vice mayors, and their staff that they are so grateful for this opportunity to be recognized. It is not always every day that they are recognized for their hard work and dedication to their community, and that they are committed to doing what is needed for their community village. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I now make a motion to place Bill 12-35 COR into the third reading file for voting. Jesus Mossy.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. On the motion to place Bill number 12-35 COR as amended by the committee and further amended on the floor, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. At this time, I will now recognize Floor Leader Paz on his motion.
Thank you, Speaker Fortuno. At this time, I would first like to make a motion to excuse Representative Yashin Liu from today's Guam Youth Congress session as she is currently off island.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Floor Leader.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Speaker. And regarding my second motion, I make a motion to refer Bill number 6-35, introduced by Representative Yashin Liu, back into the Committee of Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. On that motion to refer Bill number 6-35 COR back to the Committee on Rules, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. All right, thank you. Colleagues, we have exhausted all items under agenda item number 15, the second reading file. We are now on agenda item number 16, the second roll call. Assistant Floor Leader Guerrero of Dededo, you are recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, I move to have the second roll call reflect the first roll call.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Floor Leader. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Colleagues, we're about approaching 12 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and skip this part. We're going to go straight into the consideration of the daily file. We'll now go ahead and direct Mr. Acting Clerk, our colleagues, we are now going to be on agenda item number 17, the consideration of the daily file. And we will first proceed with the third reading file. I now direct Mr. Acting Clerk to read the title for resolution number 6-35 COR.
Resolution number 6-35 by COR by the Committee on Rules as amended on the floor, introduced by Anthony Joseph E. Charfaros and Austin G. Fortuno, is relative to expressing the strong opposition of Imini Trantai Cinco na Congresion Manhoping Guam, the 35th Guam Youth Congress, to Bill number 7-38 by the Committee on Rules relative to requiring the Chamorro Land Trust Commission to solicit competitive bids for the mass grading and extraction of a portion of Lot 5412 in the municipality of Manilao, and urging Imini Trantai Ocho na Legislaturan Guahan, the 38th Guam Legislature, to uphold the veto of Iacto Magalahan Guahan, the acting governor of Guam, on October 17, 2025.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Atoigui of Tumining Tuman and Harmon. Vice Speaker Atoigui, aye. Representative Babashro of Hagat. Representative Babashro of Hagat, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim, aye. Representative Cha, excused. Representative Charfros of Mangilao. Representative Charfros of Mangilao, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Derrido.
Aye.
Speaker Fortuno of Derrido, aye. Representative Guerrero of Derrido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat of Okudu, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Kondia Plakau of Tumining Tuman and Harmon. Representative Kondia Plakau, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of our Academy Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Derrido, excused. Representative Masca of Tizan High School, excused. Representative N of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Meleso, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Pobaletti of Chalampago Orda, excused. Representative Santos of Tumining Tuman and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, resolution number 6-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays. Resolution number 6-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Congratulations, Representative Charfers. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for resolution number 7-35 COR.
Resolution number 7-35 by the Committee on Rules as amended on the floor, introduced by Anthony Joseph E. Charferos and Austin G. Fortuno, is relative to expressing the strong opposition of Imina 35 na Congressional Manhoben Guahan, the 35th Guam Youth Congress, to Public Law 38-61, also known as Bill number 135-38 by the Committee on Rules, relative to amending the Chamorro Land Trust lease agreement with the Guam International Country Club, Incorporated, and urging Imina 38 na Slaturan Guahan, the 38th Guam Legislature, to repeal the public law.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Clerk. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Toigui of Tumining Tuman and Harmon. Vice Speaker Toigui, aye. Representative Babashro of Hagat. Representative Babashro, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim, aye. Representative Cha of Momong Totomaiti, excused. Representative Charferos of Mangilao. Representative Charferos, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Derrido.
Aye.
Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Derrido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody Yam Palakau of Tumining Tuman and Harmon, aye. Representative Cody Yam Palakau of Tumining, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Derrido, excused. Representative Masca of Tizan High School, excused. Representative Ng of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Meleso, excused. Representative Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Pobaletti of Chalampago ordered, excused. Representative Santos of Tamuning, Tuman, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, resolution number 7-35 received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Resolution number 7-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Congratulations again, Representative Charfers. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for Bill number 11-35 COR.
Bill number 11-35 by the Committee on Rules, introduced by Grace Ann Dela Cruz, Brian Andrew Teodosio, Nathan I. Paz, and Nicole Therese Guerrero, Austin G. Fortuna, and Devin C. Santos. An act to amend Section 6105B3A of Article 1, Chapter 6, Title 12 of Guam Code Annotated, relative to including the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority as a service agency under the provision of free bus passes to those who lack access to reliable transportation through the Guam Regional Transit Authority.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Otoigui of Tumaning, Tumon, and Harmon. Vice Speaker Otoigui of Tumaning, Tumon, and Harmon, aye. Representative Babastro of Hagat. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim, aye. Representative Cha Momong Totomaiti, excused. Representative Charfros of Mangilao. Representative Charfros, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative Dela Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Derido. Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Derido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody M. Placao of Tumaning, Tumon, and Harmon. Representative Cody M. Placao, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of our Academy of Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Derido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excused. Representative Un of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Maleso, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalampago Order, excused. Representative Santos of Tumaning, Tumon, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang of Mangilao, aye.
Colleagues, Bill number 11-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 11-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Congratulations, Representative Dela Cruz, who is currently at GMH. Working. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for Bill number 2-35 COR.
Bill number 2-35 by the Committee on Rules, introduced by Austin G. Fortuno and Nathan I. Paz, an act to add a new section to 61.75 to Chapter 61, Title 9, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing penalties and intervention measures for juveniles convicted of offenses related to riots, disorderly conduct, and school-related violence, to be known as the Juvenile Accountability and Parental Responsibility Act of 2025.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Toigui of Tumaning, Tumon, and Harmon. Vice Speaker Toigui, aye. Representative Babastro of Hagat. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School, nay. Representative Chao Momon Totomaiti, excused. Representative Charfros of Mangilao. Representative Charfros, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative Dela Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Derido. Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Derido. Representative Guerrero, pass. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, nay. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody Yamplakau of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon. Representative Cody Yamplakau of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Dedido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excused. Representative Ng of Zonya, excused. Representative O of Molesto, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan Bangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalampago Ordet, excused. Representative Santos of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco of, aye. Representative Yang of Manila. Representative Yang, aye. Representative Guerrero. Representative Guerrero, aye.
Thank you, colleagues. Bill number 2-35 COR received 12 ayes, 2 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 2-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for Bill number 3-35 COR.
Bill number 3-35 by the Committee on Rules as submitted by the Committee on Law Enforcement, Emergency Management, Municipalities, and Federal, Military, and Regional Affairs, introduced by Austin G. Fortuno, Nathan I. Paz, and Nicole Therese Guerrero. An act to amend Section 40125A of Chapter 40, Title 5 of the Guam Code Annotated, relative to enhancing youth representation in village governance by including Guam Youth Congress village representatives as ex officio, non-voting members of their prospective village municipal planning councils, and to provide for the mayoral appointment of a youth representative in the absence of an elected Guam Youth Congress representative.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Atoygui of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon. Vice Speaker Atoygui, aye. Representative Babastro of Hagat. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalumlum of Okudu High School. Representative Kalumlum, aye. Representative Chow Mongmong Toto Maiti, excused. Representative Charfaros of Manilao. Representative Charfaros, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Dedido.
Aye.
Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero of Dedido, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody Yamplakau of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon. Representative Cody Yamplakau, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Dedido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excused. Representative Ng of Zonya, excused. Representative O of Molesto, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Manilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalampago Order, excused. Representative Santos of Timoning, Tumon, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College, aye. Representative Yang of Manilao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, Bill number 3-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 3-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for Bill number 8-35 COR.
Bill number 8-35 by the Committee on Rules introduced by Nicole Therese Guerrero, an act to amend Section 7103, Section 7105, and Section 7107 of Chapter 7, Title 2 of the Guam Code annotated, relative to updating the membership provisions of the Guam Youth Congress to reflect current educational designations and include charter school representation.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Atoygui of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon. Vice Speaker Atoygui, aye. Representative Babasro of Haga. Representative Babasro, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim, aye. Representative Cha of Mongwon Toto Maiti, excuse. Representative Charfurus of Manginlao. Representative Charfurus, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excuse. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excuse. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Dedido. Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excuse. Representative Cody M. Plakau of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon. Representative Cody M. Plakau, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of our Academy of Lady of Guam, excuse. Representative Liu of Dedido, excuse. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excuse. Representative N of Zotnya, excuse. Representative O. Maleso, excuse. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Pangilao, excuse. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Popoletti of Chalampago, order, excuse. Representative Santos of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon, excuse. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Manginlao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, bill number 8-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 8-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for bill number 10-35 COR.
Bill number 10-35 by the Committee on Rules introduced by Jake Chun Yang, Representative Yang, an act to extend the Youth Risk Behavior Survey to include private and charter schools in Guam, to be known as the Guam Youth Risk Behavior Survey Inclusion Act of 2025.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Atoygui of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon. Vice Speaker Atoygui, aye. Representative Babasro of Haga. Representative Babasro, aye. Representative Kalimlim of Okudu High School. Representative Kalimlim, aye. Representative Cha of Mongmong Toto Maiti, excuse. Representative Charfurus of Manginlao. Representative Charfurus, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Dedido. Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody M. Plakau of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon. Representative Cody M. Plakau, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Dedido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excused. Representative N of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Melissa, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Manginlao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Popoletti of Chalampago, order, excused. Representative Santos of Tumuning Tuman and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Manginlao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, bill number 10-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 10-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for bill number 9-35 COR.
Bill number 9-35 by the Committee on Rules, introduced by Trevin Atoygui, Jihu Cha, Charlie B. Babastro, Sienna Santos, and Nihal Kodiam Plakao, an act to appropriate funds for the purchase and installation of safety barriers at school bus stops across Guam to ensure the protection and well-being of students through enhanced transportation safety and security, to be known as the Guam Student Shield Safety Act of 2025.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Toigui of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon. Vice Speaker Toigui, aye. Representative Babastro of Haga. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalumlum of Okuda High School. Representative Kalumlum, aye. Representative Chow Momong Toto Mighty, excuse. Representative Charperos of Minginao. Representative Charperos, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excuse. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excuse. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School, aye. Speaker Fortuna of Dedido. Aye. Speaker Fortuna, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero, pass. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excuse. Representative Kodiam Plakao of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon. Representative Kodiam Plakao, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excuse. Representative Liu of Dedido, excuse. Representative Mazga of Tizen High School, excuse. Representative Ng of Zotnya, excuse. Representative O of Malesso, excuse. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao, excuse. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalon Pago, order, excuse. Representative Santos of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Manila. Representative Yang, aye. Representative Guerrero. Representative Guerrero, aye.
Colleagues, bill number 9-35 CUR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 9-35 CUR is duly passed by this body. Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for bill number 5-35 CUR.
Bill number 5-35 by the Committee on Rules, introduced by Nihal Kodiam Plakao, an act to add a new section 51605 to chapter 51, title 10 of the Guam Code annotated, relative to establishing and requiring the provision and maintenance of trash and recycling receptacles in all public and private schools in Guam, to be known as the School Waste Management and Recycling Support Act of 2025.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Otoigui of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon. Vice Speaker Otoigui, aye. Representative Babastro of Hogat. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalumlum of Okudu High School. Representative Kalumlum, aye. Representative Chow Momon Toto Mighty, excuse. Representative Charperos of Mangilao. Representative Charperos, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excuse. Representative De La Cruz of the University of Guam, excuse. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuna of Dedido. Aye. Speaker Fortuna, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okudu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Kodiam Plakao of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon. Representative Kodiam Plakao, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Dedido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizen High School, excused. Representative Ng of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Malesso, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangilinan of Mangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalampago, order, excused. Representative Santos of Tumuning, Tumun, and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, bill number 5-35 CUR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 5-35 CUR is duly passed by this body. Last but not least, Mr. Acting Clerk, please read the title for bill number 12-35 CUR.
Bill number 12-35 by the Committee on Rules as substituted by the Committee on Law Enforcement, Emergency Management, Municipalities and Federal, Military, and Regional Affairs, and further amended on the floor, introduced by Caden N.O. Poboletti, Trevin Atoigui, Anthony Joseph E. Charfers, Charlie B. Babastro, and Austin G. Fortuno, an act to add a new section 1043 to Chapter 10, Title 1 of the Guam Code annotated, relative to designating October 20 as Mayor's Office Recognition Day.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Speaker Torgui of Tumuning Tumun and Harmon. Vice Speaker Torgui, aye. Representative Babastro of Hogat. Representative Babastro, aye. Representative Kalumlum of Okidu High School. Representative Kalumlum, aye. Representative Chow Mongmon Totomaiti, excused. Representative Charfers of Mangilao. Representative Charfers, aye. Representative Cruz of Simon Sanchez High School, excused. Representative Dela Cruz of the University of Guam, excused. Representative Fernandez of Notre Dame High School. Representative Fernandez, aye. Speaker Fortuno of Dedido. Speaker Fortuno, aye. Representative Guerrero of Dedido. Representative Guerrero, aye. Representative Imbat of Okidu High School. Representative Imbat, aye. Representative Kim of Harvest Christian Academy, excused. Representative Cody M. Plakau of Tumuning Tumun and Harmon. Representative Cody M. Plakau, aye. Representative Leon Guerrero of Academy of Our Lady of Guam, excused. Representative Liu of Dedido, excused. Representative Mazga of Tizan High School, excused. Representative Ng of Zotnya, excused. Representative O of Meleso, excused. Legislative Secretary Pangolina Mangilao, excused. Representative Paz of Jigo. Representative Paz, aye. Representative Poboletti of Chalampago Order, excused. Representative Santos of Tumuning Tumun and Harmon, excused. Representative Santos of the University of Guam. Representative Santos, aye. Representative Teodosio of the University of Guam. Representative Teodosio, aye. Representative Velasco of the Guam Community College. Representative Velasco, aye. Representative Yang of Mangilao. Representative Yang, aye.
Colleagues, Bill number 12-35 COR received 14 ayes, 0 nays, 13 excused. Bill number 12-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Colleagues, there are no other business in the third reading file and no business in the voting file. We are now on agenda item number 18 for the brief extension of remarks. Are there any representatives who wish to deliver remarks? Vice Speaker Toigui, you're recognized.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to just take this time to thank my colleagues present today for voting yes for Bill 9-35 COR. We have not just voted for the pride of our constituents, but we voted to keep our constituents safe, and our constituents is the youth of Guam. We have also gave a little stress relief to the parents of those students to ensure that we gave them that assurance that their child will be safe at a school bus stop. Will it prevent death? Yes. Will it prevent injuries? Yes. But if some children may come out with injuries, that is the reason why these safety barriers are to ensure that there are no death incidents that happen at a school bus stop. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, Ndokno Natsizuas Masi to my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker. Are there any other representatives who wish to deliver? Representative Charfers of Manila, you're recognized.
Last time, promise, I swear. Okay. First off, I would like to thank all of my colleagues present here today who voted yes on Resolution 6 and 7-35. I am sure that the residents of Lot 5412, the residents of Jigo, the residents of Dedido, and the residents of the whole island will appreciate our effort that we show support for these families, for our resources, for our island most importantly, and I'm sure that they appreciate that we have taken into consideration that they do have feelings and they are being fairly represented in this hall. And I would just like to thank you guys all once again. I know I said thank you when it was cleared, but thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Charfers. Are there any representatives? Representative Balbastra of Hagat, you're recognized.
Good afternoon and half a day, members of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, and to our fellow audience watching. For those that don't know me yet, I am Representative Charlie Bobastro, and I am always proud to say a former JRTC cadet from the Southern High 9th Battalion. I stand here today to congratulate the newly accepted President Dallin Harris Oaks, the 18th president that will take the lead with inspiration, spiritual truth, and revelation for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, effective on October 14th of 2025, and Gerald Casse on being accepted to serve in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, effective on November 5th of 2025 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On behalf of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, we wish both of them, the 18th President Dallin Harris Oaks, that has been the predecessor of the 17th President of the Church, President Russell Marion Nelson, and Gerald Casse, the very best in their leadership to inspire other saints across the nation and lead an example of their prominent service. They'll both be a wonderful servant, an inspiration to future generations to be in good hands of exemplary service, as well as other saints joining the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They are not only just an inspiration, they are a motivator, they are a light, they are a spark, they are a complete symphony of encouragement and infusion of hope to the three, which is spiritual, administrative, and human. President Dallin Harris Oaks was born in Provo, Utah on August 12 of 1932 and was a former jurist in the Utah Supreme Court from the year 1980 through 1984 and serving in the Utah National Guard for 4 years from 1949 to 1954. Has 6 children, attended Brigham Young University and University of Chicago, has served as the 8th president of Brigham Young University for 9 consecutive years, from 1971 to 1980, was accepted to serve as a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles on May 3rd of 1984 until January 14th of 2018, has been serving in the 12 Apostles for 33 and a half years, was accepted to serve another prominent service as a first counselor in the first presidency effective January 14th of 2018 to September 27th of 2025, and was lastly accepted once again to serve as the 18th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on October 14th of 2025, serving with real intent and continues to inspire others with kind and powerful words to touch everyone's souls. Gerald Casse was born in Bordeaux, France, and is the first French general authority ever to serve, taking full roles in the previous years as presiding bishop, managing humanitarian, welfare, and financial affairs. As for the both of the church leaders, their leadership had touched everyone's hearts, both spiritual and temporal, caring for everyone's souls and stewarding resources and the earth. Again, we thank them for their prominent service, and they will become a forever motivator, trailblazer, a forever champion for their uplifting messages, and a forever beacon to all. On behalf of the JRTC cadets, I wish you good luck and continue to strive to do your best in your efforts at the Raiders competition today. You are doing pretty fantastic and keep training daily to get that motivation to keep up the pace. As I went this morning, the mile run was steady, and it's for sure pretty humid outside at Ipao Beach. I wish all the JRTC units on Guam to continue training, stay motivated, stay humble, be proactive, stay strong, practice more, remain sharp, be sharp, take the initiative, keep pushing, keep up the good work, and keep doing what you're doing. Viva!
Thank you, Representative Balbastro. Madam Floor Leader, you're recognized.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to make a motion on the record to strike the retiring speaker's use of the term on behalf of the 35th Guam Youth Congress due to the extension of remarks not being a substantive resolution.
Thank you, Madam Floor Leader. On the motion, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. Let the record show that the retiring speaker's remarks shall be struck from the record on the use of in behalf of the 35th Guam Youth Congress. Are there any other representatives wishing to speak for brief extension of remarks? Hearing or seeing none, we will now move on to agenda item number 19, announcements. Are there any representatives who wish to make or share an announcement? Representative Kalimlim of Ukuru, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to announce about the biggest youth celebrations going right now with the Rise Teen Expo in 2025 in Agana. It's up to 4 p.m., so if any representatives here would like to go afterwards, or even anyone watching who is a youth member, this is a good opportunity to see those available in our community, the resources that are there. For those in high school could receive service learning hours, and it's a good opportunity for our youth to come together and show our commitment to reimagining, innovating, and striving for empowerment. And that is all I had to say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Kalimlim, for sharing that announcement. Are there any other representatives who wish to make an announcement? Representative Balbastra of Haga, you're recognized.
Good afternoon again. So for announcements, for Lions Club International District 204, we're having a district-wide Christmas party on Sunday, December 7th at Hilton Guam Resort and Spa from 6 to 10 p.m. And for JRTC, JRTC is going to be having for the Southern High Night Battalion is the Biology Pizzeria fundraiser at Biology Tumuning from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. So come out and please support. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Balbastra of Haget. Are there any representatives wishing to make an announcement? Hearing or seeing, I'll go ahead and take this last one. Just for the awareness of the watching audience, the Youth of Guam, the Youth Congress intends to convene a call to session next month. And also for our newly elected representatives who were elected in a special election in October, we do intend to hopefully bring you guys on board by next month for our next call to session in December 2025. More information to follow. And with that, moving on to our next agenda item, I will now gladly recognize Floor Leader Paz on your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I make a motion to adjourn today's second regular session, subject to call of the Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader Paz. There has been a motion by the Floor Leader to adjourn this second regular session of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, subject to the call of the Speaker. Are there any objections to the motion? Hearing or seeing none, the motion is carried. The session of the 35th Guam Youth Congress is hereby adjourned, subject to the call of the Speaker.